Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 10 million views.
We are proud that we have more than 1,000 new subscribers in the last month, and that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ plus brand in Florida.
Over 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 90 days. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBT community. There's no other news program in the LGBT world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, January 27th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ plus evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBT community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 10,000 LGBTQ television stories. We will produce the 25th anniversary of Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival on June 14th. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 anchors will host this show to support the LGBTQ plus community. Let's meet today's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Alex, my friend, I'm so happy to have you back at the table. So Plays of Wilton, Divine, shows the importance of local LGBTQ theater in February. Tell me what's happening.
Sure thing, FayWhat. Plays of Wilton Manors, POW, a nonprofit LGBTQ entertainment, brings a captivating production to the Foundry in Wilton Manors. An Evening with Divine will run through February 9th from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It dives into the life of drag icon Divine, played by the play's writer and POW director, Ronnie Larson. The play explores his rise to fame from cult classics like Hairspray to a role in Married with Children. Details are available at playsofwilton.com.
So are you excited to see the play?
Oh, I think it's going to be a wonderful time to see. You know, first off, I've always been a fan of Divine and John Waters and that whole crew. And, you know, I've always loved the clips of her. And so just see someone perform her on stage again, I think it's just going to be a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And if you know, like, the backstory of Divine, I don't know if you boys do, because we always think of Divine and Hairspray or whatever, but the actor, right, wanted to do more than just drag.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a serious actor. And before he passed away, unfortunately, he had just gotten a sitcom, you know, as an actor, you know, not playing Divine. So he didn't have the most happy story of his life. You know, so I love that Ronnie Larson, who is like just ridiculously talented. That dude is just ridiculously. If you sit and have a conversation with that man, right, you walk away different, right? You just walk away.
I walk away exhausted. I mean, I'll give it to Ronnie. He does it all, and he does it great. And you know, he's just so fantastic with anything that he puts on there at Plays of Wilton. So you know, that's something I definitely want to see. Yeah, you know, Divine was somebody that, you know,
was the muse of John Waters.
Yeah, and so that's what's keeping, you know, the spirit of Divine alive. live, as you see today, like in a lot of the shows. It's been featured on RuPaul's Drag Race and things like that. So it's good that we keep that, for the young people coming up, who was Divine and all that.
It's a nice tribute to him, and like you said, it's our history.
Yeah.
It's our LGBTQ history. On stage, and Ronnie is just amazing. He cracks me up all the time.
Oh my God, but you're right though. Talking to him, right, is exhausting because he does it all. He really does it all. Like just acting in Divine, right? The stage director, the casting, everything he does.
Yes.
And he does it superbly, Mr. Ronnie, okay? So Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at Plays of Wilton Divine, showing now through February 9th. Let's welcome anchor Edward Otto Zielke. He has a successful career in financial marketing and serves as a director of marketing and sponsorship for the world famous Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. Edward, GMCSF's Shout Cabaret returns to Wilton's The West End Lounge. I love the West End. On February 6th. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is bringing back Shout Cabaret on Thursday, February 6th. The event will be held at the West End Lounge with 2 shows, one at 6:30 and one at 8:30. Attendees can choose from VIP sitting to premier views to perks or general admission. The tickets begin at $25 and proceeds from the event go to singer scholarships that are facing financial barriers. You can visit gmcsf.org for more details. And I do have to give a shout out to the West End Lounge because it is fantastic. We had our first Shout Cabaret there back in October, which we sold out. And, it's such a beautiful piano bar. It's a great place because it feels like the New York piano bars to me, that intimate feeling. And so he just brought that New York, and Chris O'Neill, who brought that New York flavor into the Wilton Drive. And I just love it. I just love the atmosphere.
Have you ever been to, oh God, what was the name of the piano bar in New York City? Monster. Did you ever been to Monster in New York City? Okay. When I walked into the West End, I felt that feeling, but I was confused because I was like, oh, the West End is supposed to be a British thing, right? But then I met Chris and then I understood the wonderful energy that is in that room. And, it sits quite a few people, but it's still intimate. When they have people perform on that stage, it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And what Chris is doing for our community as well, we got to give him props for what he does.
Absolutely. And, it's so important that, that people come to this type of fundraiser because, like I said, the proceeds go to singer scholarships, and it's basically just trying to make our program accessible for everyone. So everybody pays dues, and not everybody can afford to pay dues. The fees go for wardrobe and music and things like that. So if you're somebody in need, this is, where the reserves go for those people that need the scholarship and that really want to be connected to a nonprofit organization like ours. So we're just very grateful to Chris and everybody that's coming out to it.
Can't wait. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at GMCSF's Shout Cabaret on February 6th, 2 showings, 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. See you then. Let's welcome anchor Will Haas. I love him so much. Will is a bi-coastal real estate professional and is the past president of South Florida's most popular gay social club, the Bears of South Florida. Will, Palymyra Mid-Eastern restaurant is hosting a Give Back Monday. I love their food. For Bears of South Florida on February 10th. Tell me what's happening.
So since Bone is no longer in business, Palma Restaurant is going to do our Give Back Mondays, 10% either dine-in or take-out food. It's a great place to make friends, meet people, and it's different to going to a bar. You get to hang out with friends, you get to sit and talk, and it's a great way to give back to the Bears of South Florida. The money is used for giving out to other LGBT nonprofits. So come to Palma on Give Back Monday. What
a wonderful thing that Palmer is doing also. Yeah. I mean, like 10% of everything, that's a lot of cash. That's a nice, that's a nice little check that you'll get, that the Bears of South Florida will get after that.
Having fun, and bears love to eat. So, please feed the bears.
Please feed the bears. Like, I tell you, they've got some delicious hummus over there. Like they've got some incredible Middle Eastern plates that are just divine. So definitely we're going to be there for sure. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at Give Back Mondays on February 10th at Palymyra.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She's the legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of Hotbox Happenings Out, the FayWhat Show. Faye's Women's Night at the theater, celebrated by Island City Stage, is on January 31st. Tell me what's happening, Faye.
Of course, my God, we love us some theater. So Island City Stage will host Women's Night at the theater on January 31st, starting at 7 p.m. That's this Saturday. The event begins with a reception offering light bites and beverages, followed by an 8 p.m. performance of A Delicate Balance. Designed exclusively for women, this evening encourages attendees to bring friends, partners, or wives for a memorable night of connection and entertainment. Tickets are $43 with limited seating available. Sponsored by Leslie Fine, the event promises a blend of laughter, camaraderie, and an unforgettable theatrical experience. For more information, visit islandcitystage.org. Tickets are $43, so get your tickets now. I love any event that has to do with the theater, okay? And if you're putting together a women's event and you're saying bring your friends and bring your wives, I'm all about it, you know? I mean, like theater brings our community together. It really does.
Absolutely.
And you're able to tell a story. Instead of you telling somebody a story, you're like, okay, I'm going to tell you you're going to see a story live on stage, you know? And I just think that there's just nothing better than that.
And they do it so well at Island City Stage, you know, Andy and Marty, running the show there, you know, you're always in for a good time. They bring such great works from New York to the area and stuff. So, and they're supporting, you know, a demographic that we don't really see a lot in the theaters. So I applaud a women's night, you know, that's a great thing to
But even in general, usually there's not a lot of women events. It's usually guy events. To see this happening and bring your friends, bring your wife, it should be a fun night.
Right? Again, and Andy.
Yeah.
Andy's another one.
Oh,
that man works his buttocks off. And he is firm. Like I've co-hosted like, you know, an opening night for him. And he knows where everybody is, where everybody's standing, what everybody's doing, you know? And I'm like, Andy, you're incredible, honey. And we love you. All right? So make sure, Queer News Tonight looks forward to?
It looks forward to seeing you at Women's Night on the theater on January 31st.
First tonight, let's take a moment to remember the Nazis' Pink Triangle. 80th anniversary of Auschwitz, Gay Liberation, and Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's January 27th, 2025. But 80 years ago today, this date had much greater meaning. The Nazi concentration camp, Auschwitz, was liberated. By January 27, 1945, more than 500,000 Jews and gay people had perished at Auschwitz. It was a death camp. After 10 years, it was Hitler's final solution to what he called the homosexual problem. Trains came to Poland camp 24 hours a day, and the gas chambers and furnaces were in continual use. An estimated 10% of those taken to the camp were used for slave labor. Another 10% were utilized for human experimentation, and the balance were murdered and cremated to hide the evidence of the Holocaust. More than 100,000 homosexuals were arrested during the war, and an estimated 15,000 perished in camps. Approximately 1,000 survivors are still living today, including nearly 70 from the LGBTQ+ community. 80 years later, Auschwitz is a living museum that is a memorial to the darkest days in the history of the world. At Auschwitz, you can see a pile after pile of shoes and glasses that were removed before the furnaces. You can see piles of human hair that were used for textiles. The Jewish star was used on the trains to Auschwitz. The pink triangle was used to identify queer community. 80 years later today, that nightmare ended. It's Holocaust Remembrance Day. At Queer News Tonight, we ask for a moment of silence to remember our brothers and sisters in humanity that were lost to hate. Thank you. This is just a sobering reminder that, you know, how hate targets communities, including the LGBTQ+ people. And it's good that, you know, we can claim back something like the pink triangle. You know, it used to be a symbol of oppression, but now it's more a symbol of resilience and pride. And, you know, I think about to my own personal stories. My grandmother was German, and her family had the hindsight to think of a better world. And they sent her over here to America in 1937 to escape all of that, to have a better life. And that resonates in my blood today. And that strength I always draw from. And it's something that I always treasure, and I have a picture of her on the boat coming over here at 17, didn't speak a word of English. And I always think to myself, if I can't do something, I look at that picture and I think of my grandmother and what she went through. And I can do anything. So yeah, you know, these stories that these people, the LGBTQ plus people, you know, we need to hear them.
We do.
We do need to hear them. And that's what's so important, the big takeaway from it.
Yes.
Especially kids nowadays, they're so used to freedom, 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 they don't realize what our community's gone through,
Yeah.
you know, the history of us. And, you know, maybe that should be a class at some point on, you know, LGBTQ history, you know.
No, 100%. And, you know, 80 years ago, that's nothing. That's nothing. That was yesterday that this happened. And to me, it's just a stark reminder of what happens when a person gets too much power and he's allowed to have all this power. And it resonates with me because of what we're going through right now. And it scares the living stuff out of me because we can so easily go back to something like that. You know, my wife is constantly screaming that they're going to end up putting us in concentration camps, right? And I'm always like, babe, don't say that kind of stuff. But there's more real in that than there is of her just, you know, bitching.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that really worries me today is normally this type of anniversary, I'm used to seeing more media and social media. I haven't seen anything today until I saw us decide that we're going to report. And I can't think of a year where I haven't seen the media discuss the liberation of Auschwitz. I'm sure someone did it somewhere, but just for some reason I'm not seeing it in public like I'm used to seeing it. And I really don't know what that means for us as a future.
I mean, this was humanity's greatest atrocity, period. 1.1 million people were killed, okay? Families, kids, gay, not gay, you know, hearing Edward say the story and having those seconds of silence did something to me. Like, I'm going to find one of these people who's still surviving. I'm going to figure out how to get in contact with someone. Okay. We're in a time where there's still 1,000 people that are, you know, 1,000 of the LGBTQ plus people that had the pink triangle that are still alive. Right. In a couple of years, we might not be able to say that. This is 1945. Right. So, find a survivor, find a child of a survivor, right? Learn the true stories. You know, we get a lot of, you know, the horrors that were happening between the Palestinians and, you know, and the Jewish people, right? Like that has been something that has been on the news a lot. That maybe, you know, maybe that's why this anniversary took, you know, took second place or third place behind Trump or something like that. You know, but it's not something that we should ever forget, ever.
No. I would, you know, in another time I would think that, but there are people that I think are too sympathetic to the Nazis right now that are too close to people currently in power. Like I'm not saying that the people that are currently in power say that they're that, but the people that loved that time period seem to really like the people in power too much right now.
But it's important right now to tell the stories, and I'm so grateful that I had grandparents to tell me that story for me.
Yeah.
And that I can, you know, years later tell that story. And that's what's important.
And take from that story.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we have
the resilience, the strength, the hope, the courage, you know, that's what we need to focus on going forward.
Amen.
It's true.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up entertainment. Breaking news, Alan Martello becomes new ED of Outshine Film Festival. This evening, Queer News Tonight reports a change of leadership at the Outshine Film Festival. For the past few years, Outshine has faced difficulty at the top. Multiple directors have had short-lived stints as executive director. Outshine board chairman Mark Gilbert served several years as acting ED. But now Alan Martello is named the new executive director of the LGBTQ Film Festival. Martello served as the Fall 2024 Film Festival's coordinator as a short business contract. Outshine has now hired Martello as executive director to lead the festival to new successes. In October, he already delivered an impact by splitting the 10-day festival, starting with Fort Lauderdale the first weekend and Miami the second. The change proved to be a success by attracting a younger LGBTQ demographic and more ticket sales. Queer News Tonight executive director Al Ferguson spoke to Martello about the breaking news. About why he would accept this role, he said, quote, "The Outshine Film Festival is an integral part of LGBTQ plus arts and culture here in South Florida. We help amplify the voices of our community. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? In all seriousness, Outshine plays an important role in our community here, in my community. I've always had a passion for helping nonprofits, and now I have the opportunity to help a nonprofit within my own community. I'm incredibly excited to serve, end quote. Martello was asked about if LGBTQ film festivals are still relevant in our community. He replied, quote, I think that LGBTQ plus film festivals, no, probably film festivals in general are hard. LGBTQ plus events are hard. But if Outshine has proved anything in the last few months, it's that our community wants events like this. Our first cocktails and cinema event this year sold out. Outshine is showing our community the value of queer stories. Besides, like we always say, film is more fun with friends. And Outshine doesn't just curate the best in queer films. We know how to throw amazing parties, end quote. One thing is clear, supporting our LGBTQ plus cultural events and organizations thrive is incredibly important to our community. Outshine Film Festival Spring Edition will open in Miami on April 12th and runs through the closing weekend of April 27th in Fort Lauderdale. And we say congratulations, Alan. I'm so proud of you, honey. This is fantastic news. So I was able to work with Alan when the film festival was here last. And initially, the Outshine Film Festival had a week in Fort Lauderdale and a week in Miami. And so with Alan's new role, he decided to put them together and start the film festival all in 1 week, just start at one city and at the other. And I think that that really has helped propel people wanting to come down from Fort Lauderdale to the Miami and vice versa. So I love that he's in this new role. I think it's going to be fantastic. I agree with him. LGBTQ plus events, like you boys all know, can be difficult. Can be, you get pigeonholed to the same people coming to certain events, right? And you want to blossom out, but still keep the integrity and still keep the support of the people who support you, right? You want to be agile and keep with the times, but you don't want to disrespect your core, there's a lot to it. And I think that Alan has the experience and the vigor, to make this happen. I'm really excited to see what happens now.
It also shows people that we're more than Florida, just a beach and Disney World.
Yes.
That we have arts and culture and entertainment that a lot of people say there's nothing to do in South Florida. I mean, we just talked about Divine. We talked about this. The ladies play night. So there's lots of stuff going on here in South Florida. And the film festival is an amazing, event.
It's exciting to see, that there's new leadership and, a new direction with this. I kind of felt spreading it apart a little bit in cities, kind of felt a little redundant. And so that might have lost a little bit of that flair, but it's so important to support these nonprofits like this because it's storytelling. It's our stories. You're seeing us on film. You're seeing us on stage. You're hearing our music. You're looking at our paintings. This is who we are.
And Outshine provides such a good, specific good. Too often nonprofits, you're not sure what they're doing. This is a very concrete thing. The Outshine Film Festival has been wonderful year in year. And it's so hard to run a small nonprofit like this. I wasn't really shocked to hear that they've had to go through a few different EDs because
it ain't easy.
You end up having to do 99% of the work yourself. Kudos to Alan for taking this on and for everyone who's been keeping it going all these years.
Yeah, for sure. And a big kudos going out to Mark Gilbert. You are an exceptional human being. I worked with Mark in radio back on Y100 and 93.1 back in the early 2000s.
What?
And the thing is that he lives and breathes Outshine. My favorite part of Outshine, I get to do the Latin films with Dino Mosquera, and I love that because it's my language, right? But I think more so, I enjoy the movies from places where we don't have rights, where we're not allowed to be our true authentic self, yet they're still going to have the cojones to put this incredible movie together and put their stories together, and when they bring these directors and these actors from these other countries for these opening nights or closing nights or whatever it is, wow, it's heart-stopping, and they get so many entries. I hear that they get thousands and thousands of entries, and then they have to bring it down to 20 or 30 films. I don't know how they do it. But it's going to be an incredible time, so make sure that you look out for the marketing and all that and get your tickets for Outshine Film Festival, all right? So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ plus stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into the big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Will Haas, and let's corrupt the Black community. First new soap opera in 25 years, The Gates, includes attempt of first Black gay president storyline. CBS is set to debut this first soap opera in 25 years. Beyond the Gates, the series will premiere February 24th as part of a daytime programming block. It centers around the Dupree family, described as a black royalty in the fictional Fairmont Estates, an affluent Maryland suburb. At the heart of the show is Martin Richardson, played by Brandon Claiborne. Martin, a congressman, is openly gay and lives with his husband and 2 adopted children. He dreams of becoming the first openly gay black president. Martin's journey mirrors his grandfather's political legacy, adding depth to his character's storyline. The show promises diversity and storylines celebrating representation. Creator Michael Valjean aims to redefine soap operas for modern audiences while embracing their dramatic roots. Other notable cast members include Toonie as Anita Dupree, a former singer, and Duplex as Nicole Dupree Richardson, Martin's mother. A Real Housewife of Potomac star Karen Huger is slated for a cameo in the debut episode. Beyond the Gates will bring fresh perspective to the soap opera genre. Showcasing love, ambition, identity, viewers can expect an inclusive and compelling narrative. Soap opera is a term coined in the 1960s because the daytime dramas were aimed at stay-at-home housewives. And detergent companies sponsor the show. Like adopting the negative term queer, soap actors and stars adopted the negative portrayal and made it their own. The news is significant, not just because of its black theme and gay storylines, but it's because the first new soap opera in more than 25 years. These are the days of our lives. I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm glad we're covering this story because I would have never known about it, and it looks like it could be fun, and it's all about diversity and, breaking ceilings and breaking that glass ceiling and getting people in there. And hopefully we do have a first gay black American president.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by this, Edward? Like, I'm kind of surprised that, it's CBS and not like Amazon or Netflix.
Well, I was reading that and I was like, wow, CBS,
Right?
they got Young and the Restless, they got Bold and the Beautiful. I was like, damn, I was hoping for NBC because, Days of Our Lives was on that, but now it's on Peacock. But yeah, I'm surprised that, they're taking this on. This is such a great vehicle. Soap operas, I love soap operas. I've been watching them since I was a kid, thanks to my grandmother. And, it's so wonderful to get wrapped up in a lot of these stories. And a lot of these stories are very progressive, in terms of like their storylines. I watch one soap, Days of Our Lives, and they tackle every issue, and it's so wonderful to see. And I think you're represented well on soap operas. A lot of them have diverse casts, and they have LGBTQ plus characters. So it's a great thing to see, and especially one that's targeted towards the African American and gay community, which is something that is not really heightened in media. So that's wonderful to see that.
It's also big for CBS to take this risk on, bring this whole initiative out, considering we're actually going into conservative presidency for them to take this on. So kudos to you, CBS.
Yeah, but you never know what could happen in the future. Will it survive? Will it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this is normal for them to. If this is a good time slot for a brand new show, February, like, is that when networks?
February is usually like big sweeps, so big things happen in terms of storylines and stuff. So this might be a good welcoming thing. This isn't the first time that they've tried an African American soap. They did one in the late '80s called Generations, and it lasted about 2 years, and they just didn't get a following. And so that concerns me too, in this type of soap too. Will the mainstream audiences, which are typically your housewives at home or people that are home caregivers, will be tuning into this. So we'll just find out. We'll wait and see.
Well, that is the question if this is the right show for the times. Because the idea of like a black royalty at a time where I've been seeing far more activists talk about, we've talked a lot about black people of upper classes in the last 20 years. What about the rest of us is the thing that I've been hearing more and more, especially from like Black Lives Matter activists. And of course, I say that and then knowing every kid that I know that's like an activist is like, actually, I've been watching the show and I love it. Who knows these days?
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a question of, is this the right moment for the show? And time will tell. The fact is, if they can do a season more often than once every 5 years, that means they're already ahead of Amazon and
So when The Gates comes out, make sure that you support supported LGBTQ, okay? That is how we keep these kind of shows on the air, right? And kudos to CBS for taking a chance and not squishing it in at 12:30 at night on a Tuesday or something like that. You know what I mean? This is actually putting your money where your mouth is, getting some good actors and making sure that the writing is superb, So I'll be watching, all right? I'll be watching. So that is the big LGBTQ plus story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ plus stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up drag culture. Alan Cumming apologizes to RuPaul for Emmy win, and she replies. Alan Cumming, host of The Traitors on Peacock, recently addressed his unexpected Emmy win over RuPaul. RuPaul won 8 consecutive Emmy Awards for Outstanding Host of a Reality Competition Program since 2016. At the 2024 Primetime Emmy Awards, Cumming broke this record, winning Best Host, while The Traitors beat RuPaul's Drag Race for Best Reality Competition. Cumming admitted he felt, quote, terrible, end quote, about winning and apologized to the Drag Race queens, to which they replied, quote, oh, if anyone's going to win it apart from Ru, it should be you and your show because it's carrying on the mantle, end quote. He also approached RuPaul during the ceremony saying, quote, I'm so sorry, end quote. RuPaul replied with grace, saying, quote, congratulations. In the interview with Out magazine, Cumming suggested the backlash against drag might have influenced his win. And, I just want to say to Alan Cumming, thank you so much, because clearly it's the end of the world that RuPaul only has 8 Emmys. Like, what sort of absurdity, LA is burning right now. This country is going through a lot, and Hollywood, as usual, has to make it about them in such an absurd way. And people wonder, why are people sick of Hollywood elites? This is why. This sort of BS is why. The only serious thing I will say to this is, I've enjoyed RuPaul's Drag Race, but it got stale many years ago. And I'm not shocked that it's not going to be winning reality awards as much. And who knows, maybe that'll spur them to do new things and interesting things to get awards again. But I don't think this was about Hollywood rejecting drag culture.
But Alex, Ru got it for 8 years. Yeah. Again, 8 years. He's forgetting all that. You know what I mean? Right. People were forgetting it was 8 years. Yeah. And Alan Cummings he's a great host. I've been watching Traitors. I've been watching it for Bob. Okay, I won't spoil it for you people, but he's dead. Anyway. Anyway, continue.
It's nice to see somebody else get an award, even though Alan says he's sorry. Look at that big smile holding the trophies in his hand. Right? I don't think he's too sorry. But also, RuPaul also, said congratulations. He could have been a jerk about it, but just gracefully passing the baton on.
Yeah, no, I understand a little bit of the sensitivity a little bit, because, the time that we're in right now, and, trans rights are being affected, attacked, and, they target, shows like RuPaul Drag Race, possibly. So, I think that, more or less, maybe he feels that maybe he didn't deserve the win, but that's, that's sad if he feels that. But, it's hard to say one way or the other, to be honest.
We love Alan Cumming. We love seeing him on stage. He's a great actor on stage and on screen. This is a new role for him as host. And I think he did an exemplary job. Maybe he feels guilty, like you said, in that aspect, but he shouldn't. Yeah. You shouldn't. Now, honestly, I'm the kind of person, I know this sounds awful, I'm just happy another gay person won the award.
Right.
Hey, guys, that's a good way to look at it.
I don't know RuPaul personally. I highly doubt RuPaul was offended. Like, he has 8 wins. 16 when you count him and his show. So I'm sure he has enough. Like, if he's like, well, I don't have this one, I have to surround myself with the other 16 to make myself feel better. He doesn't seem like the type that will take this hard.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ plus story for today. I'm Edward Otto Zielke, and let's queer up trans rights. Secretary of State Marco Rubio bans passports with X gender marker. The State Department has stopped issuing passports with an X gender marker. It also suspended applications to change gender markers following an executive order by President Donald Trump. New Secretary of State Marco Rubio directed the changes, citing Trump's stance on biological truth. Rubio stated sex and not gender shall be used in official documents. Trump's executive order titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism defines sex as male and female based on birth. The policy rejects gender identity, calling it a false claim that must be excluded from federal policy. Passports with X markers remain valid but require male or female markers upon renewal. While far-right Republicans are applauding this decision, queer advocates have expressed frustration. The X marker was introduced in 2021 after a legal challenge by intersex Navy veteran Dana Zim. Many fear that this new order will erase progress for transgender, non-binary, and intersex individuals. While many trans people are frustrated and anxious, advocates for trans equality, Executive Director Rodrigo Hang Layton says, "We are ready to fight for the rights and protections of our community." It's just an attack, really, more or less, on the transgender and non-binary and intersex people. They just don't think that they exist. Yeah. And it's just astounding to me. This isn't about protecting anyone, or it's really about control and exclusion. So our community is resilient, and I'm sure we're going to, get through this. We're going to figure out and maneuver a way through it legally. Mm-hmm. But it's just really...
It's more of a hassle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Marco Rubio makes my skin crawl. Women, I'm a woman, all right? And you are not protecting me from any kind of ideology, okay? Just to let you know, all right? I forgot I was a woman there, sorry, women have this sixth sense that we're taught about since we're little girls, right? We're told by our parents, like, if you ever feel like you're not safe, leave. That feeling in the pit of your stomach is there to protect you. And I met Marco Rubio once, and I got that weird feeling right there. It's so weird. Anyway, Trans Social is an incredible organization here in South Florida, and they advocate for trans visibility and unity, right? And Morgan Mayfair, him and his partner, Ashley Mayfair, are the EDs over there. So I had to ask them what they thought about this new ruling. And Morgan said, "I wish I could say that Mr. Rubio has disappointed me by this decision to jump to kiss Trump's ring and goose step to his commands. But frankly, he has been a disappointment for much longer. I believe his decision is purely based on his desire to please his employer and to gain more favors from a man he clearly did not respect during his short bid for the presidency. In other words, selling out for personal gain. Apparently, attacking the trans and GNC community seems to fuel the hate and fear this administration needs to keep its base behind them as they continue to dismantle our democracy and government. Because really, how does someone else's gender on their passport or ID affect anyone else? The trans and GNC, the queer communities of this country, the LGBT, once they see the writing on the wall, the black and brown people of North America will continue to exist. We always have. But maybe now we will start to understand that this is a white man's class struggle and fear, and that we are stronger together." End quote. Thank you, Morgan Mayfair, for your quote. Mm-hmm. Lots to process, but I mean...
Yeah. Well, we also have to remember, Marco Rubio was voted unanimously by the Senate. Every Democrat and Republican thought this man should be Secretary of State and allow the Trump administration to that much faster be able to implement their anti-trans agenda. And I'd like to know what we as a community are going to start doing with both these parties, because neither of these parties seem to give a crap about us.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you're right.
Rubio there's no reason why he should have been able to do that. Though I remember a fun fact about him. I don't know if everyone would like to know, but the Miami New Times did a story about how Rubio was believed, it was speculated, was he a particular go-go dancer in Miami back in the day at a gay bar of all places. So, I'd like to remind that of Rubio. Yeah, hi.
Let's bring that back into circulation now that Alex has said that.
Right? We should put that picture all the time next to Rubio. Rubio.
him at a
Are
phone
they-
party and all this kind of stuff, right? Like,
And now he's cow tipping, so he's got daddy issues.
right? Wow. Well, we will definitely keep you on top of any new news that comes out with this. This is very important to our community and to our siblings that were in the process of changing their passport, siblings that were planning a trip to go somewhere. Right. And now that's all changed minute by minute. But again, here at Queer News Tonight, we will definitely stay on top of this story for you. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ plus and allied community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, happening at Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, FayWhat! And on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Alex Morash, Edward Otto Zielke, and Will Haas. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We hope that you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, and be transformative. And don't forget, queer. Good night, everyone.
Nice.
Good night.